Good morning. Last night, we had a session of kind of a group that we're trying to start up at the church, we kind of build it as, hey, if you're struggling with something within the church, if you have questions, so if you've left the church for a certain reason, or if you kind of have one foot out the door, you're just struggling and you have questions, come be a part of this. And what I thought was really, really interesting was that some of the people who came, their questions that they had were questions about even like the existence of God, right? Like there were these like theological questions. Other people, their questions were like, yeah, well, if the church holds certain teachings, I don't know where I fit into that. And still others, it's like, yeah, something happened in my life where I was like wounded by the church, right? And so within that, it was fascinating that there were so many different reasons why people came. And somebody at one point like mentioned, they're like, this is really interesting. Look, there's Father and 12 other people, right? So it's kind of like Jesus. I'm not saying I'm Jesus. I'm not saying I'm perfect. But it was like Jesus and the 12 apostles gathered around the table in the upper room, right at the Last Supper. And what I will say is fascinating is that throughout the meeting, there were some people who seemed to be like nodding and really being helped by it. There were other people who you could tell were just like wrestling and grappling, and there was a whole mix of people's, I would say, not only emotions, but even a mix of people trying to grasp and sense like, is being here right now, listening, sharing, what is this doing for me? And is this doing what I hope it's doing? To the point that I will say, even after we finished and we got up and I went back to my chapel and I was praying, part of me was even thinking like, Jesus, like, what was that? Was that what it needed to be? Did we bring the healing and the understanding that we're hoping for? And what the Lord told me was, what he put on my heart was simply, you were there. You were present with an open heart and a willingness to listen. And that's what we all need, right? Sure, maybe there's other things that we specifically want, that we specifically need. And I'll say that Jesus at times encountered people one-on-one, right? Like the woman at the well, right? Or Jairus, or just different people. Like Jesus encountered them and he spoke with them one-on-one. But there were other times where he just gathered with large groups of people. And sometimes in those groups, let's say even the apostles, there may have been times where at the end of it, one of them was all like, well, Jesus didn't speak about what I needed for my heart, but Jesus was there, right? And there might have been one-on-one moments. There's always an opportunity for one-on-one moments, right? So I think, yeah, a lot of times the apostles might have had it. Maybe Jesus is speaking to all 12 of them, and what he's saying is true, but maybe just one or two of them in that moment was really, really hearing the specific thing that they needed in that moment deeply, and others would have been like, well, what's the point of it? Well, nope, stick with Jesus, right? Stick with Jesus. Continue to just be present to him and to his heart that's always present, and he'll get there. He knows exactly where your heart's at. He knows you're there. He knew all the apostles were there. Maybe he's given a specific teaching at one point, and some of those are like, I don't get this, right? But by sticking with Jesus, when he knew the time was right, he would get there. The important thing is that Jesus showed up, and that he's going to show up for you. And so I'll say, even for anyone that you are talking with, that you're working with, anyone that's struggling with something and you're trying to come together to build something, maybe you can have it with maybe it's with family where you're just struggling and you're showing up and you're trying your best. You're not seeming to have the connection that's suddenly going to fix everything. Keep showing up. Keep listening. Keep loving. Keep just being present. That's what Jesus did, and that's how Jesus healed and converted hearts. So often, the thing that we all need is just to have people with us, to know that we're loved, to know that we belong, to know that someone is going to invest in us. It might not be a quick fix. It might not happen in the exact way that we want. But simply having somebody there, that matters. So let us strive to be that person for all that we encounter today. Have an amazing day, and God bless you.